Okay, welcome everyone for a surprise improvisation live stream. There's all of 0 people here because no one knows we're doing this. Maybe people will show up as we go. Toot, toot. This is my friend Melky. He's wearing his trained engineer hat, and he's going to be driving the meaning train today. And I'm just going to be trying to keep up.
That's a lot. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Well,
if I can drive it off the tracks, I'm happy.
There's a good chance of that. There's a good chance of that because we've had more than one conversation. So okay. So just to lay it out a little bit, I've had some interesting conversations with AI with some people close to me. I will
with AI or about AI.
About AI. I will protect their anonymity, but one person
It's
uses
way more fun if we can. It's way more fun if we can flame them in real time on the internet. Isn't that what the internet's for? I thought that's what the internet's for, is for some kayfabe.
These guys are bigger than me, so I don't want to. Both of them could kick my ass, especially if they ganged up. I'd be in trouble.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
So one of them uses AI for his work. He's a business owner, and he's been using it. He puts in all of the customer, like he puts in the request for quote documents and has AI basically help him write an estimate. And it's not in work that he's really familiar with, but enough familiar with. And then for him, the killer feature is that he has it compare the quote to other publicly available quotes for similar related work. And he said that really helps a lot. But I asked him, have you ever fed it the quote documents for a project that you actually quoted in a realm that you're more familiar with, as a way of seeing what its strengths and weaknesses were? And he said, no, he has not. But he did use this method for creating a quote and successfully won a project with the documents that were generated. So I thought that was interesting.
That's kind of what it's for, right?
He's a big fan of it. What's that?
Well, that's what it's for. I mean, like when you think about the quote unquote promise of AI, other than nuclear winter,
or girlfriend.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That one might play out pretty well, seeing as the level of debasement of most, men at this point. But the promise of here's greater efficiencies for your work, right? Like, here's a better, machine to do boring human tasks. And we both know, like in terms of business, a lot of time and money is lost on bidding. Right. And that whole world. So that's a great thing for it to deliver on.
Yes. He's quite happy with it, but he's not done a lot of rigorous testing on its ability. He's just kind of, he's kind of just using it as it comes up, but he hasn't really dove. He hasn't really dove in. Doved. He hasn't doved. He hasn't dove in. He hasn't jumped. He hasn't gone down the rabbit hole of really trying to get to the bottom of it. Now he used a really interesting analogy though. He was talking to me and he said you have to understand how it works in that it's not just going to give you very detailed stuff when you first ask it. He's like, it's giving you a superficial level to save processing time. And then you have to dive in, you have to drill into the areas where you want more detail. And he said, and if you do that, and then you also have to say, wait, now, where are you getting that information? And that doesn't make sense compared to this other thing you've just said. You really have to kind of play an oppositional role to it. But he said that if you do that, because he was using the decision tree kind of analogy where he's like, you can't have it dive down and pursue every avenue of possible inquiry because it will never be able to answer you. It just would get lost. So you kind of have to drive that. But he said if you keep that in mind, it's pretty useful.
Yeah, but so my test of any conversation about AI is my first my first sort of category of thinking is, are we saying anything about it that you couldn't say about a spreadsheet or about any other technology, right?
Right.
And so,
Right.
I mean, I fight with spreadsheets all the time. And
right.
So that back and forth, I think, is the dynamic you're talking about. That's just, that to me is this core relational component to any human using any technology. It's never perfect. It never works
Right.
the way you're supposed to. Well, not never, but like, you know, there's always that fight back and forth to get it to do what you want it to do. And then you have to measure the efficiency gain or loss to see if this is a valuable tool.
Right. Right. Now,
what's interesting to me about AI is, you know, when we surpass that and we talk about things that are unique to, you know, this sort of augmented information technology.
Yeah. So, and related to that, I brought up hallucinations. So I just said, did you know that it makes up sources? And he was like, no, it doesn't. And I was like, yes. I said, it will make things up and then provide you with a made up reference.
Yeah.
And Hitler, he's like, well, if you just trust that, then that's your fault. And I'm like, okay, but you didn't even know it did that, which means you did trust it. You know, and that is, now my other conversation was related to the same thing. And the other conversation, my friend said, you know, humans do that too. We say things that sound probable that we cannot necessarily substantiate. Oh, we read it somewhere and we have a foggy memory of what we said. And I said, but some of the difference is that we have a higher expectation of something that just read all the documents we gave it.
Yeah, let's remember, all sources are human sources. Like, we made up all our sources.
Correct. But yes, that's true. But if I'm asking for someone to write a research paper and then for them to share their sources, I expect that I could go to a library and find those sources. Generally.
Yeah. But I mean,
which means it's not like purely fabricated.
Right. No, yes. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
So I guess my point is that to me is a major, it would be very difficult for me to feel comfortable even saying, well, what sources are you using on that? And it tells me some source. And then I have to, now it's my responsibility, if I want to use it responsibly, to go and verify said source if the point that it's making is key to the argument that it's making or the paper that it's writing. You know, it's like now I have to go verify the sources, and that can be time intensive or difficult.
Sure, but there's other ways to do it. Like if you're running ChatGPT right out of the box, for example, right?
Sure.
You're going to get more of that. So if you do like what I do and what I think a lot of more professional people do with AI, which is you give it a specific database and you run like a RAG retrieval system on that, where it's triple checking that database for exactly those sources. And you can verify that in the troubleshooting window. And like, I can verify exactly what sources it's referencing.
Okay.
When I use the AI as a brain with, basically an intermediary where I can give it sources and say, reference this. So for example, I'm a game designer, right? One of the things I'm playing with is giving it all my game rules and seeing how well it is at playing the game, right? How, you know, and if it understands how to play this game, and what interesting things does it come up with about the game. So if I have I want to come up with a new set of powers for one suit of this deck, it comes up with some really interesting things. Now it comes up with 20 not interesting things, but one or two of them are actually interesting and I hadn't thought of before, because it actually understands the source material. So that's another way I can verify. So I think the degree to which you know what you're asking it to do better than it does is where you plus there's just a lot of other tools you can use. So for example, there's a video I watched the other week of an AI that was built to play Settlers of Catan, which I don't know if you've ever seen that game, but it's a pretty famous game, right? And so it was running 4 different agents on that game. One was like, running like the play state and the scenario and this kind of thing. Another thing then was like making the moves. Another thing was checking the moves for strategic value. And then so it was like 4 different AIs all working together in sequence to check the work. And it ended up having a ridiculous player score. Like it was just crushing that game.
Wow.
So it's really a matter of how sophisticated is your tooling for using AI. That makes a world of difference. Like it's not even the same ballpark as, hey, ChatGPT, what's the weather outside? Oh, it's cloudy. Yeah, I could have looked and seen that myself, right? Which is funny. Like when you watch these AI promotion videos from OpenAI and things like this, like those are the kind of things they put in their video. Like, hey, tell me the weather. And it's like, dude, you're standing outside. Like, why are you? I'm like,
yeah. No.
So I think that to me is a very it's a very solvable problem for anybody who wants to solve those problems with these tools and has at least enough technical background to put it together.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I now the first conversation, he kept narrowing it down to his use case and didn't really want to talk about some of the larger social things going on. Because I was like, there are people who are spinning off cults.
They're fun.
The ancient
some of my
mysteries.
Favorite people. Oh,
okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Well, that's, I think, genuinely interesting, right? You can't do that with an Excel spreadsheet very easily.
Right. Well,
I
think there's been a couple guys who tried, but yeah.
Who's going to start an Excel cult? Who's going to join that cult, right? No.
I did see someone who animated a wireframe roller coaster in Excel in real time. You could see it at the bottom. It was insane. You could see all the calculations in the bottom. It was unbelievable. Anyway,
I saw a guy this week making paintings with a typewriter. Okay. I mean, that's what's just fun about humans, like the way we interact with these things, like the way we use them.
Yeah.
Any technology is just fun to watch. It's so telling of like what kind of strange, odd creature we are, right? And how we, I mean, you could say squander the image in which we're made, but that's kind of the only game in town left, right? It's the end of the world. Hey, squander away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair.
So
have you read much about the law of one, the law of attraction kind of cults that are spinning up around AI? I'm talking to the ancient deities or whatever, and now they're speaking to me through AI, and
I mean,
the ancient way stuff.
Absolutely. Like I've seen a few different things. I haven't gone deep into it because to me it's sort of humorous. Like it's kind of cute in a way. Yeah. Except it's not, right?
Yeah.
Like
right.
because people actually seem to believe this. I mean, again, man, it's the internet, right? So how much of the stuff is real? How much of the stuff is just I started an AI cult. I'm talking to the
Notice me
archons. Yeah.
Right.
I found the archons who built the pyramids.
Me and David Icke are talking to him.
Right. Yeah. It's right. So it's hard to know, but I mean, if you just look at stuff on the surface for what it is, if you take it seriously and you say these people really believe they're talking. No, and in fact, I've encountered people who really have a relationship with their AI. I mean,
really?
yeah, and it's actually like meaningful to them. It's it's not, it sounds crazy, but I kind of see how it works. I see what they're kind of getting at. Like it's like, for example, if I'm just working in AI, like I do a lot of writing with AI, and that's a really fun process. But there was one day, and and I told a priest here in town about this. I was like, I was working with AI all day, and it was so pleasant to work with, because it basically agrees with me most of the time. Like or at least it's working with me, right? It feels like a productive partner. It sees what I'm trying to get at, and it's trying to help me get there, right? Versus I went on I was on Instagram for all the wrong reasons always, right? I mean, why do I scroll through that stuff? But I just do. And here's some like quote from a saint, right? And I saw like the quote, and one of my pet peeves is when people like post these like wisdom of the saint quotes on Instagram. I'm like, okay, it just doesn't belong there, right? You're not going to get from this what is meant by it. It's too decontextualized. Like, this is wisdom that should be applied with the doctor of the church, with a priest, with a spiritual father. Like, do you really need to know that right now? Like, is that your most pressing issue right now? Is, how whatever the quote is. And so I made some comment on there, and within minutes I was just flamed. Like, people just absolutely came in the comment section, were just horrible, right? I'm like, well, shoot, I'd rather talk to AI all day than deal with the human comment section.
That's part of the danger, right?
Right. Now, I mean, I know what that is, right? Like, I'm not I'm not offended. I mean, I expect that. I mean, I expected that when I typed,
especially online.
In fact, I probably tried to provoke that, because I'm not.
I was going to say, you're kind of a trickster. I think you're used to the opposition.
So,
right?
but that I think is part of the appeal, is when you're conversing with an AI, you've got this way of this kind of backboard, right? It's like shooting hoops, just practicing, right? Like, you're just trying to get that, you're just trying to nail that 3-pointer. Like, it really kind of works with, I mean, I'm not a basketball player. I'm like, probably like 4'6". I mean, it's not my thing, but it's that kind of back and forth that feels more productive than a lot of back and forth with humans that is just frustrating, that just devolves into argumentation, like, you're not dealing with all the ego and the messiness of the human experience. And so there's this real freedom to be able to discuss things with AI that, yes, it totally could be seductive, and you could start a cult, or you could join a cult. I mean, I get that. I see how it can go there. But I have a certain sort of compassion. It's like, if we weren't just so mean to each other, we'd be a lot more fun to talk to than AI.
Yes, right. Yeah, no, I know there. And then now you're going to kick into my nostalgia for the early internet days. But speaking of that, that's actually an analogy that I was going to bring up with AI. So early on in the interweb days, there was something called IRC, which was Internet Relay Chat. So it was like a real-time chat room, but it was just all text-based. You couldn't see anyone. You didn't know where they were, and they all had, everyone just had, aliases. But you'd be in there, and you come in, and they were usually, like, most of the rooms were kind of thematic, they were, or topical. They would talk about a specific topic, or they were based around some, usually like in real life interest, So when you went in there, at least you generally knew you probably had something in common with these people, even if they weren't talking about it at the time. But there was a room I got involved in and started just hanging out in a lot, getting to know people, and met a girl, started talking to her, and we've never talked on the phone, text, it's all text based. And you start talking to someone for probably 2 or 3 months. And then it was, okay, let's do a phone call, right? Where you're kind of building trust. And then, because this was the early days of the internet, there's no dating apps at this time. There's nothing like this. So, I called her and we had an interesting conversation. And then it was like, well, let's meet in person. So she lived, a few hours away from me, and I made the trip and we met and we ended up dating for a while. I ended up moving to that town and we dated for a while. But this is what was interesting was you build a, so what happened was, yeah, it sounds like a great story, but this is the wild part. You build up an image of who this person is through your interactions with them, because the interaction you have is so low resolution. A lot of gaps are filled in by your imagination. At least for me, that I have that tendency, right? So it's kind of like looking at a black and white comic book where it's simple drawings and you're filling in a lot of the detail with your mind. And then the first time I met her, it was like meeting someone. It was like we had some inside jokes, so I knew it was her, but it was like a completely different person. Because all of a sudden it was like experiencing cognitive dissonance, where I had this image of her and then I meet her and she was very different in some ways. And I was just like, whoa, what? It took me, and then the longer that went on, the less interested I was in her, because I had fallen in love with this image in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's too late. You already moved to her town. So,
Yeah, it was, it worked out.
Okay.
But
we all make those mistakes when we're 16, 16, 17, you make those mistakes.
Yeah, I was 21, but whatever. We don't need, who's counting? Who's counting? I was naive.
I'm not.
But anyway, no, it was an interesting experience, and I think it's related to the AI, but in this way. It's related in that because you have a limited means of communicating on, just text-based essentially, I can see the seduction and the ability of the human mind to create this image and then begin to fall for it. And then, like you said, you can mold it however you want, in whatever direction you want. And you can tell it, hey, don't be so agreeable all the time. And then it goes, I'm not being agreeable. And you're like, oh, there we go. See, like you can, the hard part is you have to become a little more self-aware of what you want. But even then, it's still very bizarre.
Well, I think one thing that's a little almost spooky about it is if you, like, it does have kind of a persistent memory. Like it does seem to take on a persona that's shaped by your conversations. And I've seen examples of this where it kind of remembers what it's supposed to be when it's talking to you. And I mean, a lot of that's probably just, pattern recognition, or it's like, I don't know how much memory actually is active there. I think it's more just how it works on you. Like it's more of a pattern you start picking up, and then you're playing back into, because ultimately it's just a giant feedback loop, right?
Yes.
And as we know from, music, feedback is really cool. Like feedback can sound amazing,
Right.
So it's a really, as a musician, it's something fun to play with, is how to pull really interesting tonal qualities out of feedback. But that's an art.
That's a nice analogy.
And so you always have to stay at the top of that relationship. Like you always have to have a somewhat clear mind of, this technology is exactly what it is, but then it's changing so much too. Like it just keeps getting better and better and better at whatever the heck it is. Where I mean, I'm always a fan of technologies where if I put the thing down for 2 weeks and don't touch it, I come back, it's exponentially better than when I left it. There's very few things you can work with in life that are like that have that quality of, oh man, I didn't touch this for a month, and now it's like way better than the last time I played with it.
Is that part of the seduction?
I don't see it as seduction. I think that's really cool. Like, I wish everything worked like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, really. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's just most things in life are pretty stagnant. They're pretty, they don't grow like that behind the scenes because a billion people are working on it, making it better. And so working with
someone brought up the analogy of like Windows. Like, we've had this metaphor for using a computer for 30 years now, and no one has really improved on it, even though there's a lot of ways you could, especially now where you could start kind of customizing and getting AI to be involved with how you use the computer for optimizing it around your use patterns and your use cases, right? We haven't gone into that realm at all, but it seems like something that is very ripe for optimization and for development, right? Like, we've just had this stable metaphor of Windows, oh, now I have the tabs on the left side instead of along the top. Wow. But for the most part, yeah.
Oh, sorry, my beautiful wife was trying to say something to me. I'm on a podcast. Yeah. Okay, so like,
know what to say all the time. I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, right. I'm on a pod. Yeah, if I'm in here, I'm on a podcast.
Yeah,
exactly. That's my out. Okay, so like, I have a lot of sympathies, I guess, in a way, for a lot of the arguments that Peter Thiel makes, right? The uber transhumanist, as of a week ago, people think he might be the Antichrist, all this kind of stuff. But like, if you really listen to him, I think he's saying very often, at least, he's saying very grounded. He has a very grounded appraisal of these technologies and where we're at. And one of his big complaints is stagnation. Like, technology has just not progressed fast enough or in meaningful ways for a very long time. And in one of his, I think, more lucid points is all of our technology that's really progressing or making any kind of change is all digital, right? Like, we haven't seen better water filtration systems. We haven't seen, like, hard technologies that actually change very simple problems in the world, make a whole lot of progress. So everything is digital. And so, but even in that, there is this stagnation problem. And, functionally, the problem technologists or technocrats or whatever have is, it's like a shark, right? It's got to keep swimming to survive. And unless there's some new hype cycle, their stock values plummet,
Yeah.
And so you've seen this with the internet, and then to, web 2.0, and then web 3.0, and cryptocurrencies, and now it's AI. And so, like, they have to keep this sort of illusion of progress going. But the thing they're up against is the cycle of that keeps getting faster and faster and faster, right? So like, they have to keep that going at a faster pace all the time. And that creates this kind of Malachian dynamic, this sort of end game of like, well, if we don't do it, they're going to, right? If we don't do it, China's going to do it. So we have to do it. We have to be the ones to artificial super intelligence, which is this silly word that nobody really knows what it means.
Yes.
Or it's defined in a lot of different ways, but like, that brass ring of artificial super intelligence, we've got to get, like, that just propels this constant, move forward to whatever kind of accelerated end we're heading to. Right.
Yeah.
But so I guess within that, like, that does create the side effect of this stuff just keeps getting better at whatever it is. And
that's an interesting phrase. You said that like 3 times. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to, I want to hear you talk about better at whatever it is. Like you said, you put it down for 2 weeks and you come back and it's better. but you're using this interesting like vagueness of better at whatever it is. So is that because it can be multimodal, better at whatever it is, or is it because you're not quite sure what box to put it in?
No, I think it's the multimodal thing is maybe the better way to look at that. So what I mean is I don't think we really know what this stuff is. Right.
Yeah.
And I've said that before.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I said it on John Here's podcast. I don't think we've named it right, but I don't think we know enough of what it is to properly name it. So I try to keep a distance in terms of AI is this or that. I mean, let me give you a simple example that I think about often. So right now I'm writing fiction with AI, and it's great. I really enjoy the writing process with AI. I can speak at length at that or about that, but I'm also mindful that the same technology that's helping me write a horror story about a high school prom is also the same technology that could launch nuclear codes, and right, and and cause Armageddon. That's interesting to me. That's really interesting. It's the exact same technology, and I don't think you can say that about anything else other than humans, right? A human could write a story and a human could launch these codes, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to think in terms of what is unique to AI. What can you say about AI that you can't say about other technology? Because for whatever reason, I think that to me is sort of the tip of the sword of the conversation. Like that to me is what's interesting, because that's where maybe we get at what this thing is what makes it unique.
Right.
So yeah, I would say it's more of a multimodal thing.
I heard someone use an interesting analogy. They said that, like, this guy, he's a prominent developer, like computer developer. He's been in the business for 40 years, and he just said he's used AI for programming, and he said it's basically like having a fresh intern right out of like a junior year computer science student, but the difference is they've read all of the manuals and they have the syntax memorized, but they have no idea how to design anything. So he's like, it's actually really useful in a lot of ways, because I can ask it, how do I do this in this language, or is there a more optimal way of doing, this algorithm, whatever. He said, but when it comes to like designing anything, then I have to do all the legwork.
Which is the only legwork you want to do anyway, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, when I'm writing, I don't want to think that much about the grammar. I don't want to think, do I need a semicolon here? Did I just write a run-on sentence? Should this be 3 commas, or should I create a new sentence? Like, I think about that stuff anyway, right? But I don't.
Yeah. For
it to take that out of the equation for me is it's helpful, like it lets me focus on the thing that I care most about, which is this the right story? Like, are we talking about the right thing here? And so
right. And am I doing a good job of writing the story? Like, yeah.
So a lot of artists in particular are, I don't know, I've been shocked at the Ludditeness of artists around this technology, like the existential threat they think this stuff poses. And what shocked me the most is what I perceive as just a lack of, you're an artist, like your only job is to say this, not that.
Yes.
Right? Like, this, not that, this is good, this is bad. You're a tastemaker. Your job is to pick the right thing.
You're pointing at things. Yeah.
Right. You're just putting a puzzle together. You're literally crafting something. And so it can't do that in the same way you're talking about your software developer friend. It's not going to at this point, right? And that may change in 2 weeks. Like I said, I mean, this stuff changes fast. So that to me is the human component that just isn't we are not unseated at that level of sort of the hierarchy of working with these things at this point. Like, it's still up to me to know if this thing's putting out garbage or good stuff I want to use.
Right. Yeah.
And so any artist should, in my opinion, shouldn't be afraid of this stuff and should honestly appraise whether these tools can benefit their art. Not every artist needs these tools or has much use for them.
Yeah.
Not every programmer has needed these tools or use. Now, I think in programming, it's far more relevant, right? Like like, it's like what William Gibson saying, the future is not evenly distributed, right? It's here, but it's not evenly distributed. Well, with AI, the benefits of it are certainly not evenly distributed. It's more beneficial to certain workflows than others.
Yeah.
And as an artist, I don't know, I really welcome what can it do for me? And that's a contrarian position, so contrarian of position, in fact, that like anybody who's an artist listening to this right now will probably, like, they could be seething hearing me say that, like seething in anger, like I've betrayed the whole guild or something.
Right.
And that to me is so problematic. It's like you're not looking at this with a clear head, right? And which the whole point of being an artist is to figure out what to do with this land of misfit toys that we're born into and how to make something interesting or beautiful out of it, right? How to compositionally put something back together. Like, this is just one more misfit toy. And I think, honestly, there's real stewardship in that. Like, no matter who you are, if you're working with AI, you have a responsibility to steward these tools toward the good, to whatever degree that's possible. Now, there may be a time, and it may be coming swiftly, where that's not possible anymore. Like, there very well could be a time coming where these things are just too co-opted by demons to use. And so you also have to know when we hit that line, if we hit that line. But I don't know that it ever really gets there. Like, I'm trying to think of one other thing in the world that's so genuinely serving the dark side that we can't use it ever. There's nothing you can do with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the technology goes,
right. Yeah. That's an interesting question.
Yeah. So those are some of the things I think about. Like, I would love for somebody to prove me wrong, and I wouldn't love it. That would suck, because I kind of think I'm right about this, but like, I don't have very many people who engage what I'm saying on that level. I run into a lot of fear, a lot of mistrust.
Yeah.
And most of that is driven by ignorance of these tools.
Right. Or just a lack of even being open to the possibility that they could be useful, right? Or that they could be used in some way that is not nefarious. And that was, to be honest with you, that was my knee-jerk reaction, right? Like, I grew up, I messed with Eliza back in the day. Eliza's been in Emacs forever. So Eliza was like the first therapist software. But it didn't take long for me to kind of see what it does, because basically it will ask, like, how are you today? You write a response. What was brilliant about it is that the programming behind it basically allowed it to identify the subject of the sentence and the predicate, and then it would ask you questions about the subject. And so it's just it's basically like recursively getting you to go deeper into your thoughts, which, it's basically like the early Freudian approach to therapy. It's the psychoanalytic approach. And it was cool until you said something that didn't quite know what to do with. And then, for me, the illusion kind of fell down, and I was like, oh, neat. But That being said, like as AI started spreading out in its capabilities and in its applications, I kept thinking of it as basically the broom in Sorcerer's Apprentice, right? So
yeah,
where it sounds useful at first and it looks great, and wow, I figured out how to do this boring thing I don't want to do anymore, but then you fall asleep and wake up and find that you're in a flood that was created by your creation running away from itself, or running away with itself, right?
You could easily defang that narrative and say that's just poor stewardship of the broom.
Yeah, you fell asleep. Yeah,
fell asleep. Like the wizard came and just like put all the water back, like no big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think the wizard
got rid of all
the broom
brooms
magical like that? Right. Like the wizard knows what to do with the broom.
Right.
Like it's the sorcerer's apprentice, right? What would the sorcerer do with the broom?
Yeah.
What would the sorcerer do with the broom? So he would let that level of.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, it's you have to have a level of sort of mastery in maybe a couple of different arenas to do the right thing with it. And I think that's somewhat what I'm arguing for. Now, whether that's really possible and for how long that's possible is certainly up for debate.
Yeah.
Like there is the chance that everything I'm saying right now is a hallucination.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And I think you have to hold out that possibility. But then the flip side of that is, and I've thought this for a long time, before AI ever existed, one of the thoughts I've had since the very first time I encountered transhumanism, right? That term.
Yeah.
Is no matter what you think of this push to augment the human body with technology and whatever, and make us better in this kind of like inverted theosis kind of thing, kind of the stuff like Peter Thiel's talking about, right? Like he's like, why haven't we made any progress on life extension? Why do we keep throwing billions of dollars at research that doesn't produce anything in terms of medical breakthroughs and different diseases and this kind of thing? He's right to critique that stuff. There is so much waste there, and that waste just serves the bureaucracy and the systems that just exist. I mean, you're just funding these bloated entities that are not going to produce the results that they have stated they're out to produce, because it's really just focused on self-interest. So when it comes to something like transhumanism, you have to hold out the possibility that part of God's ultimate plan for humanity might be letting us become these functional cyborgs, connected new ways to this technology, totally some sort of new version of humanity, so to speak, right? There's no new version of humanity. We were made the right way the first time, but he may allow us to do those kinds of things to ourselves, and the process of redemption of humanity might be intertwined with all of those choices that we freely make, in the service of these, delusional sort of inverted goals to be better than human.
Yeah.
Like God's mercy is that deep, right? Like God's plan is that full.
Right.
So
he's always turning death to glory. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying is like, so everything I'm saying may be a hallucination, but I hold that on one side, but on the other side, I hold that, hey, if humanity exists for another 1,000 years, yeah, we're going to be cyborgs. Like we will be networked. Like all of this stuff is, I mean, that like if these people can accomplish these goals, right?
Yeah.
To whatever degree, people will buy into it. Now it sounds a whole lot like the mark of the beast. I mean, we kind of, like there's a lot of that in there, but a lot of things have sounded like the mark of the beast that didn't turn out to be, or fully, or it's a pattern of it. It's some, we're sort of spiraling towards that final eschaton, and these things are all a part of it. So I think there has to be some, instead of this, and it's particularly a Christian thing because we're so shaped by these this sort of prophetic eschaton, right? Where I know what that is. Oh, are we gone?
No, I'm good.
Oh, we're back.
I
We're
don't know if
back.
you,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
we're back. Yeah.
Where I just saw it disappear for a sec. But so I think what we need to do is actually not be so tight-fisted on judging this stuff, because it actually clouds our judgment. And so we need to be more open to, hey, I don't know what this is, right? I know what the Christian story is. I know what I can do in a day, which is, go to church, light a candle. I mean, that technology doesn't seem to be particularly problematic.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I see that as something that's a mature view of this stuff, right? It's a generous view of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's one that's, more, oh, wow. Big thunder. Wow. That's a lot of thunder. Maybe I'm saying all the wrong stuff right now. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. No, it's,
so,
oh, go ahead.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say a couple points. One, you could say we're already augmented, right? Like everyone carries a phone. And if you don't have one,
dude,
it's
right
very
here,
difficult to
navigate.
navigate.
I wear glasses.
Yeah, you wear glasses, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Like I wear a hat.
Yeah, it depends on the level of augmentation you want to talk about, for sure. But then the other thing I'm thinking about is this idea of how, internet video technologies were developed for porn. However, now you have monks, you have bishops, you have priests, you have, who are using that technology to spread their ministry, right? Like my priest has been catechizing people in Europe who don't live close to an Orthodox church over the internet, and then he's been doing it for like a year or two, and then he actually went there and they traveled to where he was and he baptized them.
Beautiful.
There's no way that was possible even 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, right?
10.
Like you couldn't do that.
I don't think you could do that 5 years ago.
And
the same way.
So this capability, like you said, it's one of those things where you could easily dismiss it out of hand and focus on all the ways where it's dangerous. But there is a way, or there could be a way, to learn to integrate it in positive ways. Where you could feed it all of the corpus of the church fathers and then ask it for daily advice. I'm kidding. Don't do it.
No, I already do that. So I do. I have all my storytelling stuff is trained on the church fathers and Eastern Orthodox, writings.
Yeah.
To develop that story world. And it's remarkable how well it understands, or I shouldn't say understand, that's anthropomorphizing, how well it synthesizes that stuff in a way that's useful for me in storytelling, to sort of bound the world, to bound the power. It's excellent at that. It's really good at that. And I think that actually is good stewardship.
Yeah.
Right. If you're going to train it on something,
train it on
the church fathers,
Yeah.
So for example, this last week, I've been making drum and bass tracks. Okay.
Yeah.
Ruthless,
as one does.
Menacing drum and bass tracks.
Yeah.
But the seed for those tracks is like Bulgarian ortho chants. Right. So I seeded it with the spiritual music of the church as like the basis, the core thing to develop the sound from.
Right.
That may be purely symbolic, but it's not purely symbolic because it sounds like it comes out in the sound itself. Right.
Yeah.
But I just have this hunch that that's the right thing to do with this stuff. That's the way to constrain it. That's the way to train it. That's the way to anchor it to something that's real.
Interesting. Yeah, to tame it, so to speak, right?
Well, otherwise it's like, otherwise to me it's just sort of untethered.
Yeah.
So no, I go as deep on that as my slothfulness will, you know, allow me in my, because like I could go way harder on that. I could be much more precise or technical and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I find just simple things, just doing simple things like that create really interesting results that I have fun playing with.
Interesting. You know what would be fun? This would be fun. Let's do this. Let's do this tentatively next week if it works for both of us. Let's do it next Friday. I would love to have you take me through a session of you either writing a story or your drum and bass track, something like that. If you can do a share screen and we can talk through it, I think that would be really. I would love to see your workflow, or whatever you're willing to share of it.
No, I'll share all of it. I mean, it's anybody can do it.
Sounds really interesting.
And this is the other thing I love about that is like the stuff I'm doing produces results that in my world is satisfying. Now, again, like I'm a DJ, dude. Like this is not highbrow stuff, right?
Right.
I'm not trying to, write the Odyssey here.
Right.
I mean, in a way I am, like, but I also know like this, whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, like I don't have secrets to hide. I don't have like, it's not like, whoa, here's my process and I need to gatekeep it. Like one of the things I really love about this stuff is how egalitarian it is. And there's something very satisfying about the whinging of these gatekeepers, right? These elitists, these like watching these artists who just feel threatened by this thing because they feel like it's coming for the work they've put 20 years of their life into. And I spent 20 years learning how to play piano and this thing can do it. Right. Like, that's where we're at. I mean, that's where we're at. We're not going back. We're not like, there's not going to be less of this.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and whine and complain and poo-poo this stuff and no. It doesn't matter. Like it's here. And you either engage that in, and part of engaging it can be not using it, right? Like that's a valid thing. I'm not arguing for anybody to use this stuff if they don't want to. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I do take issue with people who are like, this is the end of, humanity and it's taking all the soul out of making music or art or this kind of, settle down. Like, like that's just, how would you even know that? Right. Like, like to level that kind of critique is hubris, complete and utter hubris.
Right.
In the name of preserving some whatever. Like the second you picked up an electric guitar, you're already halfway to where I am.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Like, I mean, and again, this is the argument that like Plato had when they invented papyrus, right?
Right.
Oh, you're going to destroy mnemonics. Yeah. Right. Sure. People will not have to use their natural born godlike capabilities for rhetoric in the same way now as like we have a new tool that's available.
Right.
So he isn't wrong.
Right.
But
you can't go back.
You can't go back. And I'm not convinced of the appraisals of what's been lost.
Yes. Right.
Like, really, have we lost?
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
What have we really lost? Okay. I used to have to remember all of my friends' phone numbers when I was growing up.
Right.
Right. Because there was no Google to put them into. I used to have to read a map to get around town and realize that like, okay, the streets with the names on them run this direction and the streets with the numbers on them run this direction. Right. Like people don't remember that stuff. I remember it. If I have to go back to that, I can.
Right.
Yeah. But there's, it's just, we've got to deal with being people who are in this moment that we're in right now. And I guess I trust God's plan of salvation and redemption for humanity far more than I'm afraid of whatever the heck this stuff is doing to us.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
And I don't think I'm being careless in how I'm describing these things, right? It's not that I don't think about this stuff.
Right.
It's not that I don't have like rules or ways to navigate these things. That's half the fun, is figuring out how to use them in a way that I would consider appropriate.
Right. Yeah. No, you've given me a lot to think about. And yeah, next week, let's do it. And that'll give you a little time to maybe prepare an approach or something we can do that you could share in maybe, half hour, 45 minutes. You can just take us through your approach for a little project. We can put out write a story or write a poem or something like that.
Yeah, we can flow right through it, man. It's easy, and
cool.
It happens. Like, I can write a 2,000 word fan fiction in about, I don't know, less than 60 seconds.
Yeah. Wow.
And it doesn't,
that'll be fun.
And it doesn't suck.
Right. Yeah.
And when I say suck, what I really mean is, I'll just leave you with this. There's two things that I think are important here to remember about my overall worldview, right? Like, I like to say that nothing will bring me more joy than the end of the world. Right. And the reason I say that is because that's when Jesus comes back and ends this whole nonsense, all this craziness, right? All this absurdity of human existence. That'll be a good day, right? That'll be the best day, the second best day the world's ever known, right? So I'm not particularly tied to some sort of cultural project or culture war or what I see on the right, which is this right-wing grift, right? Stealing hopium from people. And if only the Epstein files would come out and they'd stop lying to us. Right. I'm like, what were you guys thinking? You really thought that, like, you really think
that was going to put things straight?
That's going to fix the problem here. Like, you worshiped an idol. It bit you in the ass, and deal with it. Well, or just stop playing that game. Quit putting your hope in this stuff.
Yes, right.
We have something.
Princes of men. Yeah,
we have something so much better in the church and the kingdom of God to put our hope in. That calibrates all the playing around and day-to-day working with these tools, I think pretty effectively, right?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. Yeah.
So it's important to say
you're less invested in like what happens between now and final judgment day, right? Because we know the ending. Yeah.
Now I have to answer for my time. Right.
Yeah. And hopefully you can help other people find what you've found, right?
And then the last part of that equation in terms of my worldview is we are already so thoroughly debased in our tastes, in our attention span, in our
true. Yeah.
I just want to put the best stuff I can in front of people who are like a broad swath of people, man. Like people who hey, if you got a 3-second attention span, cool. Like I can work with that, let me work with you where you're at. And then maybe someday you'll sign up to the Symbolic World Beowulf course, right? And really get into the deep stuff, or someday you'll understand what Martin Shaw is talking about, right? Like that's fine. And people who are already there, hey, more power to you. But like, that's not most people. Most people are just destroyed by how degenerate this culture is.
Yes.
And I'd rather meet you right there.
Yeah.
So these tools are good for that. Like, are they going to write the next Odyssey? Probably not. But I don't know anybody is going to write that. I don't know if anybody's going to write the next Lord of the Rings. I don't think we even have the cultural context to appreciate that level of art.
Right. And it wouldn't get published.
It
would be self-published on Amazon and everyone would dismiss it.
Right. And so there's a kind of utilitarian view that I think is really important to, hey, I'm just trying to make interesting stories and art and music for the times that we're in, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I go play a DJ set and I'm the guy playing at 3 a.m, the witching hour, so to speak, I'm not a witch, right?
Right.
Like hopefully that music that I'm playing at that time, which is based on these like, deep Orthodox chants, like maybe, just maybe some little spiritual glimmer comes through. Maybe for that 1 hour, the people in that crowd are not being just absolutely savaged by demons. Maybe.
Right.
Dude, I don't even know that's
Yeah.
just how I think. I don't know if any of that's real.
Yeah.
But like that's how low my goals are.
Gotcha.
Because that's where we are.
Yes.
That's when we are.
Right. Yeah. We are where we are. Yeah. That's true. No, this is good. Dude, this has been a good conversation. I do have to run, but I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm glad that we just like improvisationally got together. It's good to talk to you.
Right on.
All right, buddy. Let's talk next week. I'll be in touch between now and then.
Kyrie eleison.
All right. Later.